I want to talk about a few things in this video. So if you're in a place where you've lost something and you're really having a hard time letting it go, or you're having a hard time because you're either taking it personally or you don't know where to go next, this is the video for you. If you are someone who has a tendency to settle for less than what you want in life, in love, in relationships, in your career, this video is for you. I'm going to tell you a couple stories that I feel are so powerful. They're powerful for me. I'm so grateful to God. I want to give God the whole entire glory throughout this whole video. Even though I signed a contract and I thought I was going to be working this upcoming school year, I do not have a job. Yesterday was my last day of my job. I was told a month ago that they were cutting the art program at the school that I've been working at. And the reason being is because they are in a little bit of a financial crisis. It hit me like a ton of bricks. One of the things that really bothered me the most was the fact that I wasn't able to talk about it for quite some time. Yeah, I lost my job as an art teacher, but that does not mean that I am not going to carry on. I lost my job, but what I feel I gained, because there's always a gain inside of a loss if we're willing to look at it that way. If I just look at things through my understanding, if I just lean on my own understanding, then I'm not going to be able to get heaven's perspective on what's going on in my life. And if there's nothing that I can do about something, for instance, this job, there's nothing I can do about it. Like, they decided to cut the art program. So I'm like, okay, Lord, what's going on here? Then clearly there is a reason. And when one door closes, we know that another door opens. So I want to start off by telling you a story about the place I was living at. So I was living in a home for 2 years. And from the moment I walked into that home, I didn't really love it, but it was good enough. If you've ever been in a job that's good enough, in a relationship that's good enough, and you've been constantly having this sort of nagging feeling that you just wish that you could have more, you want more, and you're wondering if you're just being ungrateful or if more even exists, or maybe you should just love where you live, then this video is for you, because this story I think has a message inside of it that applies to you in the way that it's going to apply to you. So let a story just cover you and speak to you in the way that God wants to speak to you right now. So I was in this particular home for 2 years. It was much better than the home that I was living in before, because that home, I won't even get into that story, but that was just sheer and utter hell by the end. And I wanted to get out of there so bad. So I took this home like kind of quickly. The price was right. I live in Hawaii. I was paying $850 a month in that other home, which is very low. I know. God always finds me these gems. And then this new home that I went into was only $800 a month. So I was like, okay, this is going to be safe and quiet and it has everything I need. I'm going to move into this home, even though it wasn't like really what I wanted. And so I lived there for 2 entire years. And through those 2 years, I had one of the most deepest transformations internally that God has brought me through. I've been through a lot of them, but this one was massive. And in that home for 2 years, I feel like I was kind of like in a winter season where I was like, I wasn't hibernating per se. I was living life, but God was teaching me a lot about how to come back home to myself and my relationship with God, and how to connect back to my identity in Him, and no longer seek approval and validation and wholeness and my worth outside of myself, whether in a job or a person or anything like that. And so for 2 years, I said, okay, Lord, it's you and me. I'm not going to date. I did meet some men along the way and had some interactions, but I didn't end up being in any kind of a relationship, because it was a time for me to really, like I said, come back to my identity, right? So in those 2 years, there was quite a transformation. I am 100% not the person I was when I was moved in there 2 years ago. So then, interesting, there came a time not that long ago where my landlord said she was selling the home and that I was going to have to move. Kind of like my job. There came a time when there was nothing I could do. This is out of my hands. This is out of my control. And so I was like, oh my gosh, wow, this is going to be hard. How am I going to find a place to live with at the time I was working in an art job. I had gotten this job through substitute teaching initially, and then they asked me if I wanted to be contracted to actually work as an art teacher at this particular school. And I was only part-time, so I was only working part-time. And one thing I want to mention is I live with a tremendous amount of chronic pain in my body, so it is imperative that I only work 3 to 4 hours a day, because I'm exhausted by the end of the day. I have unreal chronic pain. So I don't work full time, and that's because I can't. So I don't make that much money. So paying $800 a month in rent is a blessing and necessity. And then, and so when this woman, my landlord, told me that I was gonna have to move because she's selling the house, I was like, oh boy, what are we gonna do? Hawaii, where I live, is really expensive, and how am I gonna find another place that's $800 a month? And so I started to search for another place to live. I asked my principal at the school I was working at if they would put out like an email to the families to just see if maybe somebody had like an extra room or whatever. And so I did get a couple opportunities. I found a couple places on Craigslist, and nothing felt quite right. Like, they were good enough. I could make them work for sure. And like, I'm the type of person that I can turn lemons into lemonade. I can turn it into lemon pie. I can turn it into freaking lemon meringue. I can take sour lemons and I can turn it into lemonade. But what God has been showing me is that God wants to give us more than we could even imagine, think, or even conceive of. And when we know our worth, and when we're coming from that first initial, like when we spend a time with God in the wilderness season, and in a season of just waiting and with Him, and just doing the day by day, and sometimes that can feel painfully slow and boring and silent, and you're like, where are you, God? What are you doing? Are you doing anything? There doesn't feel like anything's happening. It just feels quiet. But if we would be willing to just go into that season, and sometimes that season can take a long time, and for me it's been over 2 years now. It's a long time, and I'm just turned 50. Like, Lord, really, like, how much longer is it going to take for me to know my worth and then attract a high value man? Like, is this ever going to happen? Is it going to happen when I'm 76? But it's like, it doesn't matter, because what I mean by that is that the most important thing is that I have a good relationship with myself at the end of the day. Because even if I got into a relationship, if I am not coming from a set point of knowing who I am truly, then I'm just going to constantly still be seeking validation outside myself. So anyway, to speed this up, I just didn't feel like these places were the right place, but they felt good enough. Like they weren't bad. They were good places, like really good places. But something didn't feel quite right. And so I had to kind of wrestle with, is it me being ungrateful? Am I just wanting too much? And life circumstances just happened where I was like, I've been through this so many times in my life. I'm trying to hear God's still small voice. I had to be out of that old place by June 1st. And it was like down to the wire. But something, like I said, just didn't feel quite right. I overheard my landlord talking to this other person about how he's gonna have to extend the time for us to like not move out till July 1st, basically, which would give me another month. And I overheard that, and I was like, oh my gosh, can I please have an extension? Like, I had found a place to live, but it didn't feel quite right. So I was like, yeah, I would love to have an extra month to just see if maybe I am going to move into that place. Maybe that is what God's best is for me, or maybe God will have something better. I just trusted, and I just did the daily responsibilities of the day. I showed up, I taught the kids art at the school, and I was in summer school at the time, teaching them summer school art, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get this message from someone at my school who works there, and she said, did you see this listing? I saw the listing. I called the person and I asked, how much is the place? And she said $800. And I was like, are you kidding me? I can't even believe it. And I was like, well, surely this place is going to be a shithole, because anything that's that cheap on the island of Oahu is either going to be in not the most wonderful place, wonderful neighborhood, whatever. But nonetheless, I put in the address and I drove to the place. And as I was driving down the road to check out this place. I was like, this can't be right. This neighborhood is gorgeous. This is right by the ocean. This is like literally the ocean's right there, like right there. I just walked out my door today and I walked to the ocean this morning and I saw the sun come up. So when I get in here, I looked around and I was like, this is the one. This is it. Like this is it. Like there's no way, I can't believe it. This is beyond anything I could even think or imagine, and it's $800? Like how? How is this possible? So today's video is sponsored by Mandyland Stickers. This is my sticker collection. I'm actually wearing what I call my sticker dress. Whenever I would go to my class in my sticker dress, my kids would just love it. They wanted to find out, how did I make this dress? How can they make their own clothing like this? So if you don't know, I have a whole entire sticker collection. This sticker dress is made from these characters. This is Millie. This is Mango Cat. This is Marvin. This is Whimsy Kitty. And this is the Oxalato. If you want to get any of my stickers, there's a ton more stickers in my shop. Then you can go to the description box and there's a link there. So I ended up moving in here, and I've been living here now for a month. And this story has really helped me when it comes to other things in my life. I have had the tendency to try to fit myself into a box, or I've settled for less because I have this personality where this is something that God's helping me with, because it can be very tricky. I would think more about the comfort of others than my own comfort. So if it made someone else happy, then I would want to do it even if it made me unhappy, because someone else's happiness makes me happy. But I get to be happy too. So there has to be a harmonious balance between both parties are feeling like they won the lottery, basically. Like with my old job, they have to think like, wow, we won the lottery. Like this is the best art teacher that we could find on the island. And I felt for a time and for a season that I was an art teacher at this school, that's how they felt about me. I was able to go in there and be creative, and I love the kids. I've literally fallen in love with the kids. I fell in love with the community, the families. You know, I'm no longer an art teacher there as of yesterday, but already moms are calling me. One of the moms from the school said she wants to book a ticket for me to go fly with her family to go to Alaska and do salmon fishing. I mean, this is a beloved community that I became a part of, and I still will be a part of. So this is all in God's design, I believe. But the season is now over. I've been taught what I need to be taught. I've had, and I've gleaned from, and I've gained what I needed to gain from that season, and now it's done. That's the thing with God, is we have to be able to discern and know when seasons are over, and when it's time to not fight them, or when it's time to fight and to persevere. Like this is an art form. This is something that you develop as a sensitivity when you're walking with God and you're walking in the Spirit, and you can understand the season. You can understand the timing of God and what it feels like to you. Just like my previous place where I was living, there was a season. I got what I needed to get from that season for those 2 years, and then it was time. It was just, God was like, boom, it's time for you to move on, and I have another place for you. And there was a time when I didn't know, like, where is it? I thought I was gonna have to move back to the mainland. I was looking into moving to San Diego because I wasn't sure where to go. I was like, God, I really don't know where to go, but God will, in God's perfect timing, if you pay attention and if you wait and if you listen and you press in and you have faith and you believe God, then God will show you and make a way. And he will give you far beyond what you can even ask, think, or imagine. And so this is what I'm standing on today. I am literally living in the promises of God. I have dreamt of and done countless vision boards on this very place. Not that I knew that this place existed, but this place looks what I had put on my vision board to a T and beyond. I have everything I've ever wanted in this place. It is cute AF. It is the cutest little place. It has a yard, banana trees, the cutest dog that I live with. I have the best roommate on the planet. It's clean, it's neat, she's active, we eat healthy, we cook together. I have the washer and dryer right there. All utilities are included. It came with the most comfortable bed. Like, I could go on and on and on about how perfect this place is. It didn't come in my timing. It didn't come in the way that I wanted it to. It came in God's perfect timing. And I can feel it because there's an abiding peace, and I know this is God. I have to give every single bit of it all the credit to God and to myself for having faith in God, for having the faith that God is who God says he is, and God's character is one that he wants to bless his children, and he wants to help build our character so that when we get the promise and we get the blessing, we can steward it, be grateful for it, and fully land in it. Fully just be here. Now I can just be here. Be like, okay, here I am. And when it's time, because this place is only a year, it's only a year lease. And I don't have to freak out, like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna, it's like, just, I'll be here for a year. I have a whole entire year to enjoy, to fully enjoy this place. And when it's time, and God says it's time, God will place me wherever God needs to place me. And so this story is something that I'm holding on to and also applying to my career, to my job. Teaching art at this school is a beloved, beautiful school. And I do hope that they can get their finances together and that God blesses that school and something miraculous happens with that school, because it's a beautiful, amazing Christian school. But, they cut the art program and that is what it is. But I believe that something good is going to be made out of this. And so what I'm standing on is that job was great, and it showed me, wow, I really am meant to be a teacher and I love this. But God is saying, and I have more for you. I have more for you. So just listen to me, and I will drop things in your lap, and I will give you hints, and God will show me the way and lead me to greener pastures, more than I could even ask, think, or imagine, if I just lean in and I listen to him and go by his timing, not mine, and don't lean on my understanding. And I'm also standing on this story in terms of a relationship, because I just recently met a man that I would dare say I fell in love with him, or I was just about to. I was just about to fall, and I had to stop because there was just too many logistical things that were getting in the way for us to be actually in a relationship at all. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And I had to be willing to disappoint him. He didn't want us to end, but in order for me to stay true to what I know is true for me, and what I know is true about God, and what I know is true about my walk with God, I had to listen to that still small voice and just say, here's yet again another area to fully trust. And just, even though this feels so good, and this just feels like I could make this work. It's like, God is not a let's just make this work God. God is, this is going to work beyond what you could even think or imagine. So I let that go, and I'm standing on God's promises that, God will orchestrate everything to work out for my good, and I will feel it, and I will know, and I will not be questioning whether or not a relationship is right for me constantly. When it's the right relationship for me, when it's the God-ordained relationship for me, I will have clarity. I will just know. And I'm standing on that because of the previous stories of what God's done in my life and what I know that it feels like. So this is the stuff that gives me a lot of peace in midst of a lot of unknowns right now. So I have a lot of unknowns. I hope that this has helped you in some way to give you faith and to be able to help you to kind of make sense of maybe some stuff that you're going through right now. I'd love to hear any comment that you might have, or any thought that came up for you. And then of course I am available. I have Create Your Life coaching, and I have this method. It's called the Create Method. I'd be honored to be able to walk you through the whole method, and we can talk about that on a discovery call if you want to apply. There's links in the description box, and there's also my stickers. You can buy my stickers, which I love so much. So thanks for being here. Bye.